Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. Wonderful friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Last time. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Standing on holy ground, love and light and joy abound. We are standing on holy ground. Holy, holy, holy ground. We are standing on holy ground, love and light and joy abound. We are standing on Thank you so much, you lovely people. My name is Jennifer Mann, and I'm a practitioner emeritus, and I've been here so long that I remember when Holy Ground was sung, 1998, the first time we were in this building.
Thank you so much, Soph and Trey and Chris and Nick and Fran. And look, Paul's over there too. Oh, now, good morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Santa Rosa. And welcome to you live streamers. We just love that you keep coming and you're from all over the world. It's so nice. So now, if you ever have questions about what goes on here, the best way to figure it out is from the website, CSLSR.org, because the bulletin there is filled with useful information because we rock. We do a lot of things here, and you want to keep track. You can find the monthly bulletin by clicking the photo of the little old typewriter. One of the pillars that's so important and what attracted me here in the first place is spiritual education. It's one of the pillars of this place. So you might want to make sure you pick up the education catalog out at the information desk to see which classes, workshops, or book studies you might want to take time for. We do offer a few scholarships for some of the classes, and Reverend Russ is the one to talk to if you have any questions at all about the education ministry. We also, thank God, have a comprehensive youth and family program at 11 a.m. each Sunday for our beloved children, from little newborns all the way through teenagers. If you have questions about the youth program, or maybe you would like to support us through volunteering there, talk to Jennifer Caldwell after service, or you can send an email at youth@cslsr.org. Now, will you take a moment and join together in community to speak aloud our vision and mission? The Center for Spiritual Living is a spiritual community that promotes global transformation through personal transformation. Our purpose is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. We are motivated by a compelling global vision that inspires us to bring the gifts of compassion, integrity, and loving kindness to the world through our programs and teaching. Together, we are helping create a world that works for everyone. Part of this global vision states, we envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought. A world where each and every person discovers their own personal power and ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone. We follow this vision through the 5 core spiritual practices of our teaching. Would you please read those with me? Spiritual study, affirmative prayer, meditation, selfless service, spiritual circulation. And now, we would like to extend a warm welcome to any first-time visitors. If you are here for the very first time, please stand as you can or raise your hand, and we will bring you a flower and a welcome packet as a token of our welcome. If you're watching online for the very first time, please let us know in the chat. We are grateful that you found your way here. I know that somewhere between the music, the meditation, the prayer, the practices, and Dr. Edwards' message today is exactly what you need to experience for the next step of your spiritual unfoldment. Know this. You are welcome here. Now please enjoy some more music before our short time of silent contemplation and prayer.
Spirit. Nothing can separate us. We are one. Oh, lover of my soul and keeper of my spirit. Nothing can separate us. We are one. We are one. We are one. Nothing can separate us. We are one. All nations on the earth, all life upon the planet, nothing can separate us. We are one. We are one. We are one. Nothing can separate us. We are one. We are one. We are one. Nothing can separate us. We are one.
And how very wonderful it is to know that oneness, to feel it through our entire beingness. What a glorious day. Feel the warmth in this room. Listen to the silence. And in this silence, Spirit lets us know the breathing of the one next to us, the soft, gentle music playing, all of these, Spirit allowing that we know that we are one with it, for it imparts of itself in each thing that it creates. And how joyful that is, and how intelligent and creative that it is, that along with imparting of itself, it gives each of us that unique stamp of individuality, that personality, that unique laughter and voice and song. So this is a morning of celebration. This is a morning of coming together and just so appreciating that Spirit is always present no matter what may be going on. And so I enjoin myself to recognize the presence in all that I think, do, and say. And because I am one with Spirit, I plant that garden in my mind and I keep it holy, 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 holy ground. I weed that garden and I think the thoughts of that which I choose to see made manifest in my life, in my world, in my center, in this beautiful, beautiful sanctuary. And so I am feeling the gratitude of this day, of this moment, of each and every person who is here, who has entered our sanctuary, those who watch us virtually and hear us and participate with us. We are one, and I am so very grateful. And so together we can say, and so it is. Amen. Good morning. My name is Sherry Poole. I am one of the spiritual coaches and prayer practitioners here at the center. And it is my joy to invite you to speak aloud this morning's affirmation with me. I am a spiritual being and embrace all aspects of my life. And so it is.
Water is nice, cools your brow on a summer day. Water is sweet, out of a canyon it'll show the way. Oh, 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 oh. Water is life. The world won't wither without oceans blue. Water is spring. Take a drink and be born anew. But what I really want is fire. What I really need is fire. What I really want is fire. What I really need is fire. Wind is a kiss, flustered faces in the autumn air. Wind is a guide, out of stillness it'll fill your sail. Wind is a song, a summer storm will whistle all night long. Wind is a cry, uprooting earth and making forests strong. But what I really want is fire. What I really need is fire. What I really want is fire. What I really need is fire. What I really want is fire. What I really need is fire. What I really want is fire. What I really need is fire. There's a time to sit in silence by a mountain stream. There's a time to rise above my daily desires. Then a time when life is more than a private dream. Oh, it's time for fire. Oh, oh, oh. turn these walls to dust. Fire to risk it all for love. Fire to see what no one sees. Fire to dream what no one dreams. What I really want is fire. What I really need is fire. What I really want is fire. What I really need is fire. What I really want is fire. What I really need is fire. What I really want is fire. What I really need is fire.
Wow. Good morning. Phew. Let's just take a breath. All that creative energy, so beautiful. Thank you so much for opening us up like that. I'd like to share two quotes with you from very well-known authors to set the tone for our time together this morning. They're quite bold ideas. The first one is from Thomas Moore. You may know he wrote Care of the Soul quite a long time ago. He writes, "There is no way to divine love except through the discovery of human intimacy and community. One feeds the other." The second is from Thomas Keating, and he wrote Open Mind, Open Heart. He writes, "The experience of intimacy with another expands and deepens our capacity to relate to God and to everyone else." This morning's topic is a part of a series about trauma that may sometimes be caused by religious training. The whole month's theme is unstatus quo, which is an invitation to examine topics that are typically avoided in spiritual circles. Well, we come to a spiritual community and we start to expect a certain rhythm. You know, we tend to know where we're going to sit. I see many of you are sitting in the same places. We know what the order of the service is. We even know where to go to find out the topics and where the music and the affirmative prayer will be. It's all quite orderly. And this predictability can be deeply comforting in a world that is sometimes chaotic. It offers a sense of stability. Still, when we hold too tightly to the status quo, life will just remind us all by itself that it's messy, unpredictable, surprising, ever-changing, complicated. So in our desire for comfort, when we hold on to predictability and norms too tightly, we might miss out on some of the beauty and the wonder and the growth that is just outside of our definition of normal and comfort. And by excluding things, certain topics from our area of norm and predictability, by calling them, not spiritual or inappropriate, we can sometimes risk isolating those people who are struggling with the very issues that we don't want to talk about, who might be longing to know how to apply their spirituality. How does spirituality intersect with their life experiences? In the 30 plus years that I have been in this spiritual community, I've come to notice that certain topics consistently cause discomfort. Here are some examples. Sex, marginalization, abuse, disability, chronic illness, mental health, abuse, racism, gender inequality, food insecurity, politics, war, to name a few. And yet these are all very, very real human experiences, and likely someone in this very room has or is being impacted by one or more of these challenging topics. And to truly embrace this idea in our faith tradition of spiritual wholeness, doesn't it mean that we must be willing to bring these topics right into the light of our spiritual teaching? A common question that I am asked is this topic, whatever it is, pick one of them, is it appropriate to discuss in a spiritual community? Should we talk about money? Should we talk about whatever it is? And that question makes sense, especially for those of us who grew up in environments where certain topics were not only avoided, but actively discouraged. Some of us were taught as we were growing up very specific religious ideas, but not necessarily how to apply them. We may have been left to figure that all out by ourselves. And I've been thinking about that and how the simple act of naming certain topics as inappropriate or as unspiritual, it has powerful consequences. Causes some of us to become uncomfortable or silent when topics that we were taught shouldn't be talked about come up, and we recede and tighten up. So when I notice that in myself, I can ask, what was I taught that is making me uncomfortable? And what is my discomfort telling me or inviting me to rethink? Because it could be that some of that discomfort may come from trauma caused by spiritual rejecting type teachings that may have left their mark on me, and I'm willing to look at that these days. So today I have an intention to support this idea that it's deeply spiritual to embrace everything, to include everything of our human experiences in our understanding of spiritual wholeness, especially those topics and ideas that make me feel uncomfortable. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, he affirmed that this teaching of ours is one that focuses on the idea that every one of us is part of the wholeness of all life, and that spirit is present in every aspect of our lives, including our bodies, our finances, our dreams, our capacity for pleasure, our inclination to connect and interact, how we vote, how we choose, everything. Nothing's off the table. Everything is included in everything that Spirit created. And by normalizing discussing these topics, we raise consciousness, the consciousness of oneness that could very well help release any shame or secrecy that might have accumulated around them. Now, I understand not everybody is in the same place when it comes to discussing sexuality, and that's fine. This topic may stir up different reactions in each one of us. So I want to honor whatever feeling comes up for you, whether it's ease or discomfort or curiosity or something else. Because my hope is that by addressing this topic, we can, each one of us, notice our responses and ask the question, are there areas, parts of my life that I have labeled as not spiritual? Now, for some of us, it may come from our early religious upbringing. And, our religious training may have unintentionally caused the trauma and shame around, natural human experiences, especially when it comes to sexuality, and left many people struggling with how to understand who they are, even with fear and guilt and self-rejection. And when things are stuffed into secrecy, they tend to show up in ungainly, problematic ways. So I asked myself, how have I, Edward, been affected by this? Because I think that's the most authentic way to approach the subject. And I can think of a dozen ways. Here's one in particular. I grew up in what is commonly known as the purity culture, which is a belief that emphasizes sexual abstinence outside of marriage, which is the only time when you can have sex, and also promotes very strict modesty. So we were taught growing up that our self-worth was measured by how well we stuck to these principles. And looking back, I can see that as children developing in this environment, we kind of led dual lives. Because on the surface, we repeated all these ideas we were taught about purity and obedience. But beneath the surface, there was this other life where we hid our thoughts and our natural inclinations and our natural desires in the shadows of secrecy and shame. We felt guilty about not being able to keep our minds focused successfully on these very clear rules and the standard of sinlessness. We learned to hide, especially when we knew we weren't fitting in or living up to the standard. I always knew that I was different and that I didn't fit in. And by that I mean being gay. And as a young boy, I was terrified that someone would find out, because I was taught from very early on that it was morally and spiritually sinful. And I didn't know what to do with that. And then when somebody did figure it out at school, life became hell. I told myself, trying to cope, I told myself to be brave and that I wasn't really afraid at first. That's the narrative I had. I told myself I just didn't have the energy to deal with all of the relentless bullying and hateful words. I told myself, I'm just going to figure this out. I'll figure out what went wrong in me. So I would hide at break, at recess. I wouldn't go out into the playground. I'd stay in the classroom and I would read. I guess there's a silver lining to that because I learned so much. I became very clever. The downside is that I started to realize that it really wasn't safe to be me. I learned that homosexuality was not appropriate. Not to talk about, not to be, not to bring up in social settings, and certainly not in a spiritual setting. And then I learned to be afraid. And I hid. I thought to myself, if the children in my age group could be that mean, imagine what the adults would be like. And in some cases, I was right. So I learned safety was in not talking about and not asking questions about very important things. So learning about sex in secret put me in a lot of danger. But asking about it was even more dangerous. Then eventually I discovered science of mind. And I was introduced to a whole new perspective, a new lens. I learned something radically different from what I'd grown up with, something new. I learned that the power that creates everything is everywhere, and that meant in me. That was new. I learned that the power that creates everything creates and moves through my own thinking. As my own creativity, I learned to focus on embracing the idea that I had been created on purpose and invited to use my mind and my heart and my body to express and to love and to celebrate and to help and to create and to be. That was new. I learned how to explore who I am rather than to try and fit into a worldview that was kind of narrow and restrictive and I learned that I wasn't a mistake or an aberration or a sinner. I learned that I was as normal is, and I learned that normal is pretty abnormal. I also learned that the effects of the past can be gently reframed and softened and sometimes completely undone through the creative power that flows through me just like it flows through you. So I started on what became a journey of healing and acceptance. And the first step was also something new, to see my body through the filter of spiritual wholeness. We can call that holiness. As something magnificent that Spirit made with all of its issues and problems and glories and disappointments. Now, this may seem obvious to some people, but for me, as a young person, I was taught that my body was something dangerous, flawed, prone to sin, disconnected from my spiritual self. I was taught that it was filthy, out of control. The second step in my healing journey, learned from Science of Mind, was to change my inner dialogue and learn how to say to myself gently such things as, I am created by pure spirit and I love what it's made. I am created by pure spirit and I celebrate all aspects of my being. I am made from that which makes everything, and there is nothing in me that rejects what spirit has created as me. I learned that. I learned to change my inner narrative from disgust and fear to gratitude and amazement. The psychologist Dr. Tina Shermer-Sellers, she observes, the purity movement, the one I mentioned earlier, the purity movement has actually resulted in sexual trauma by using shame as a weapon to make young people hate and fear their own bodies and needs. Well, I can see what she's talking about. I lived it. And that can lead to a kind of self-rejection and distrust not only of oneself, but it also bleeds into other relationships. Because some of us who grew up like that felt tainted simply for having desires. And that lasts a long time. And so I've learned, whenever the memory of those ideas comes back in me, I've learned to say to myself gently, I am created by pure spirit, and I love what it has made. I am created by pure spirit, and I celebrate every aspect of my being. I'm made from that which makes everything, and there's nothing in me, not a thing in me, that rejects what spirit has created as me. Now I know, and I know you know, that affirmations alone will not necessarily undo years and years of programming. The author Linda K. Klein, she wrote a book. It's a very long title, but listen to it. Pure. Inside the evangelical movement that shamed a generation of young women and how I broke free. She writes in the book about how she was raised to believe that her worth was tied to her virginity. And she internalized deep shame around her body and her sexuality. It took her years and years of therapy and finding and building new community and rethinking the spirituality that she had been taught, developing a new identity as a spiritual being to get to a point where she would feel healed. And then she was able to embrace her sexuality as an integral part of her spiritual identity. Here's a man I'd love you to know about. His name is Matthew Paul Turner. He is a former musician in a spiritual community and now an author. And he shares his experience of growing up in a religious environment where spirituality was demonized. Not spirituality, sexuality was demonized. Phew. So for years he struggled with the idea that his desires were sinful. He was on the same journey. He had to begin to embrace a more expansive view of spirituality, and then he was able to heal because he started to accept his sexuality as normal. And now as a result, he's become a very powerful voice for love and inclusion in the Christian world. He's got a website. It's beautiful, and on it he's selling a children's book. He's a very prolific author, and this book's title is, listen to this, You Will Always Belong. And in it, children learn that they matter, that they were created on purpose, and this line, and that the people who truly love us love all parts of us. Oh, how I wish I had been taught that when I was a boy. How I wish I had been taught that I am created by pure spirit and to love what it made and to celebrate all aspects of my being. How I wish I had been taught that I am made from that which makes everything, and that I would always belong. That's what we aspire to do in our youth and family program with our children. So this week, I invite you to gently reflect on your own experiences with spiritual teachings, especially as it relates to sex. What did you learn? And how have these teachings shaped your beliefs and your conversations and your comfort or discomfort with sex? And more importantly, and how can the practices we read about this morning of science and mind create a space in you and within the world where everyone can feel safe and empowered to embrace both their sexuality and their spirituality as something that is part of one whole? Now, if you were taught that sex is something that should be hidden or shameful or not talked about, I'm sorry. And I hope that today you will find the support to begin a new chapter and to rewrite the script of your life with the courage to talk about sexuality openly as something very ordinary. And if necessary, to get the professional support that you might need if there's a lot of trauma to unpack around this. And lastly, and this is very important to me, our teaching encourages us to have the freedom to express and to explore, which to me includes learning to talk about what we like or what we don't like. And it also encourages us to develop boundaries around what we want to do and don't want to do around our physical body, and to honor those boundaries in other people. And that means conversation, consent, communication are three essential elements of a healthy sexual awareness. Let's go back to the quotes I started with. Thomas More. There is no way toward divine love except through the discovery of human intimacy and community. One feeds the other. Thomas Keating. The experience of intimacy with another expands and deepens our capacity to relate to God and to everyone else. I invite you to breathe in and to exhale as you let your eyes close, if that feels comfortable, for a moment of spiritual practice. Imagining that these words that I speak in the first person are your own words, or words that come from the seat of compassion within you. I am a whole and sacred being, free from shame. I am embracing my spiritual and sexual nature with love and acceptance. I am created by pure spirit, and I love what it has made. I am created by pure spirit, and I celebrate all aspects of my being. I am made from that which makes everything, and there is nothing in me that rejects what Spirit has created as me. Through this moment of prayer and the words being spoken, I consciously relax my body and ease my thoughts. I allow a surge of vitality to flow through me. I recognize it as the energy of the living Spirit within me, and that this flow of energy connects me to all things. This awareness empowers me to approach all aspects of my life with love and acceptance. This awareness empowers me to approach each person in my life with love and tranquility. I draw courage and strength from this inner source. It inspires me to seek common ground and to express myself with compassion. Through this prayer, I am remembering my uniqueness as well as my connection to all that is, and I remain at peace. I know I am part of the greater whole. I rededicate myself to following this inner guidance, and I give thanks for this awareness that is emerging in me. And so it is. I invite you to breathe in with me again and to exhale as we return our attention to the activity of the room. I invite you, without getting up from your chair, just to take a look around the room, if you can, onto one side or the other, and see the beauty that is present. As a way of reminding yourself and each other that you belong here. And by here, I mean wherever you are. It is time for us to support our spiritual center, this beautiful oasis of spirituality in Sonoma County, where we and those who come after us may learn that they belong and that they are made of pure spirit as we are. I appreciate in advance the gifts that you give to our center so that we can indeed exist today and tomorrow and to generations in the future. I like to imagine a future where the Center for Spiritual Living continues to exist. Don't you? Don't you like to imagine when we are all gone and are just memories on the roster, that there's a whole new group and generation of people saying, I wonder who did this? And that is why I support the center and why I'm so grateful for your support. We have ways to contribute. Of course, they're all listed on our website, including automatic contributions. And if you haven't played with that yet, I invite you to find out about it. It's completely within your control. I tell you, the advantage of it is that, there's that saying, out of sight, out of mind. And I know what it means. It's like I go on vacation and I forget that there's a center that feeds me spiritually and I forget to make my donation. But with automatic contributions, that doesn't happen, and it has become the backbone of our ability to manage the ups and downs of the times. Also, there's text to give, which is very popular. I invite you to flirt with that too. It's quite fun. You can do it from anywhere in the world. Some of you like to give right here in the sanctuary, and I love that. And some of you pick up the coupon. Who has one? It's sort of a way of us remaining connected to the ceremony of receiving the gift. You can pick it up as you come in, knowing that you give in another way. Placing something in the basket becomes the ritual of participation. I invite the ushers to stand, and when you take your gift in your hand and say after me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal and prosper. It does amazing work in the world. And so it is. Ushers, please receive the gift.
Fixing this and that, giving it up to God and then taking it back. Just release and let it go. You don't even have to think about it no more. Get out of the way.
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 Get out the way and let God do his thing. You look like the weight of the world's on your back. Just take a deep breath and cut yourself some slack. All that drama ain't good for you. You couldn't change what is if you wanted to. Get out of the way.
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 Get out the way and let God do his thing. on the floor. The tide is gonna rise without your say so. The universe is working and the good is flowing. You don't plant a seed, then dig it up and see if it's growing. Get out of the way.
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 Get out the way and let God do his thing.
Get out. That was so fun. Thank you. Woo. Okay, I'm back, and I talked to you about that bulletin that you can read, but I would like to highlight some of the things that are coming up real soon for you. We have a very special event coming up right up this Wednesday, August 21st at 6 o'clock p.m. Back in June, we shared a Juneteenth celebration that was hosted by Olivia Kinsler, Celeste Austin, and Lawrence Edwards. We heard from many of you after the service how impactful that was and how you would like to continue our conversation about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so Olivia and her friends have organized a 3-month series of conversations, one each month until October, to grow our understanding of diversity within the context of science of mind and how we practice unity while honoring our unique differences. We will start the service off with a potluck each of these Wednesdays, so you could sign up to bring some delicious food out in the social hall. We have 2 new classes coming up in September. Reverend Russ is excited to be teaching spiritual principles and practices in person starting Monday, September 2nd at 6:30 p.m., where you will spend 6 weeks exploring the foundational concepts and practices of our teaching, The Science of Mind. So you might use them to uplift your life. If you have ever wondered how you can learn to pray like our practitioners do each Sunday, well, this is the class for you. You can sign up by clicking the photo of the colorful piano keys on the website. And then practitioner Christine Ruddy will lead us into an exploration of the life of our founder, Ernest Holmes. That will be on Zoom starting Thursday, September 5th at 6:30 p.m. with our class, The Essential Ernest Holmes. In it, you will learn how Ernest approached life, spiritual practice, and how you can use the same tools and techniques he pioneered to live with more joy and purpose. You can sign up by clicking the photo of Ernest on the website. Both Spiritual Principles and Practices and Essential Ernest Holmes have scholarships available. Please talk to Reverend Russ after service to find out more about scholarship options. Every year, we're so blessed with this. Project Sleep Warm creates quilts for the unsheltered population in Santa Rosa. They are sharing a raffle for the beautiful quilt that's hanging out in the social hall entrance. And your raffle tickets help them raise money to purchase the batting that makes these blankets warm and cozy. You can purchase raffle tickets in the bookstore while you're shopping for all those other wonderful items. Our August Spirit Walk with Reverend Russ is coming up this Saturday, August 24th at 9 a.m., and it will be at Riverfront Regional Park in Healdsburg. You can sign up to walk and find out more by clicking the photo of the sneakers on the website. And finally, this is so fun, next week, Sharing Our Bounty is back. Sunday, August 25th from 10 to 11 outside the social hall between the 2 services. You could bring your fresh produce or bake some delicious goods and maybe some flowers that you grew to share with the community. Everything is free to take home with you, whether you bring something or not. It's quite a lovely harvest. So that's all I have for now. Let's bring Dr. Edward back and have a wonderful week.
Thank you. There I am. Thank you, Jennifer, man. Jennifer and I have been dating a long time, Jennifer. And I was thinking about the announcement about spiritual practices class with Reverend Russ, and you might be thinking, well, I did the foundational class, I already took that class. Well, let me tell you something. This class is not only for beginners, it's for people with a mature understanding of science of mind, because don't you know the way we teach our spiritual practice has evolved with the times. So he represents the new generation of how we are teaching these strategies. Not only that, your mature understanding of science of mind adds to the conversation in the room. So you might be due for a tune-up. I see people looking different directions now. So come to the class and enjoy that. And if you don't know about the Essential Ernest Holmes, you can preview the book in the bookstore. It is the most beautiful compilation of the writings of Dr. Ernest Holmes, organized in categories with a narrative by one of the deepest thinkers in our movement, Dr. Jesse Jennings. I mean, he is like a celebrity of thinking in our movement. So this class with Christina Ruddy is beautiful. So sometimes I know the announcements we make, they're kind of sort of like public service announcement because we don't have a lot of time. So I get excited about it. Like Jennifer said, it was education that caught her attention and dragged her into this community. And that's our thing, education. We don't save souls. We don't convert people. Nor do we condemn. We teach. And so if you are a long-time religious scientist, consider a refresher, because it's going to, as Jennifer said, change your life again. And now, if there's something that is incomplete in you, or if you cried yourself to sleep, please don't go home that way. Take a moment to go to the back of the auditorium, connect with the host, and she will connect you with a prayer practitioner in the room who will pray with you. If you're online, you can do the same thing, but in our virtual format, in a private Zoom room. You have to go to our website to find the information there, and you will be connected one-on-one with a prayer practitioner in private to do the exact same thing. Now, won't you please stand, saying, something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind, life is in my body, and life is in my affairs. I think it, I feel it, and I accept it. Just the way that it is, and just the way that it is not. Thank you, life. Know with me that you are never alone, that spirit is right where you are, that you have only to look within at any moment to know that you're guided, sustained, and empowered by a presence that expresses itself as you in this world. In deepest gratitude, let us live our lives accordingly so that in everything that we do and say and think, we honor this presence within, and so it is. Thank you so much for being here today. We complete our series on trauma next week. It's going to be fun. I look forward to seeing you. Let's close in song.
I believe